In 2025, one of the most valuable assets in an American bankruptcy court wasn't a building. It wasn't a patent or a factory or a vault full of cash. It was you. Specifically, your spit. About 15 million people once mailed a little tube of their DNA to a company called 23andMe just to find out where their great-grandparents came from. Then the company collapsed, and all of that DNA went up for sale to the highest bidder. Here's the part nobody tells you. 23andMe didn't die because DNA testing was a fad. It died because of a flaw built into the business on day one. And the thing that finally made the company worth buying was the one thing its customers were begging it to delete. Let's rewind. 23andMe launched in 2006 with a genuinely cool promise. Mail in a tube of saliva. And a few weeks later, get a readout of your ancestry and your genetic health risks. Over time, the price dropped to about $100, the cost of a nice dinner. People loved it. Spit kits showed up under Christmas trees, celebrities did them on talk shows, and the company pulled in some of the biggest names in tech and pharma, early money from Google, and a partnership with the drug maker GlaxoSmithKline worth $300 million. In 2021, at the absolute peak of the hype, 23andMe went public through one of Richard Branson's blank check companies. For one shining moment, it was valued at around $6 billion, and its founder, Anne Wojcicki, was a paper billionaire. And then, almost immediately, the whole thing started sliding downhill. To understand why, you have to understand the flaw. Here's the problem with selling someone their own DNA. You only have to do it once. Think about it. Your genetic code doesn't change, so once you've spat in the tube and learned that you're 40% Irish and genetically a little more likely to hate cilantro, you're done. Forever. There is no reason to ever buy the product again. The best businesses on earth sell you things you come back for: coffee, razors, streaming, anything with a subscription. 23andMe sold the exact opposite, a one-time souvenir. Every kit it sold was a customer it would probably never hear from again. And the company knew this. It tried to fix it, bolting on a premium membership that promised fresh health insights every month. But people had already gotten the one thing they actually wanted. Almost nobody will pay a subscription to keep rereading their own genes. So sales did the only thing they could. They ran out of new people to sell to, and they fell. But here's the part most people miss. 23andMe was never really in the business of selling spit kits. The kits were bait. The real prize was the database, one of the largest collections of human DNA on the planet, 15 million people deep. The plan was to mine all that genetic data to discover new drugs and sell those drugs for billions. That's why GlaxoSmithKline paid to get in. That's the bet investors were actually making. The problem? Discovering drugs is brutally slow and almost unimaginably expensive. It can take a decade and billions of dollars to turn a promising gene into a single pill on a shelf. 23andMe spent years and a fortune on its own drug lab and never produced an approved drug of its own. So the company was caught in a vice. The consumer business that paid the bills was shrinking because nobody buys their DNA twice. And the data business that was supposed to save it was a money pit that hadn't paid off. 2 engines, both stalling. Now, if you remember 23andMe being in the news, you probably remember this: the hack. In 2023, hackers got their hands on the personal data of nearly 7 million customers. And it later came out they had specifically targeted people of Jewish and Chinese ancestry. It was a privacy nightmare. It cost the company a $30 million settlement and a mountain of trust. And this is the version everyone tells. The hack killed 23andMe. But look at the timeline. The stock was already in freefall before the breach. The business model problem, the one where you only sell to each customer once, was years old. The hack didn't cause the collapse. It just kicked a company that was already on its way down, and it made the one thing 23andMe was really selling, trust with your most personal data, suddenly look like a liability. The symptom everyone remembers wasn't the disease. From there, the fall was fast and brutal. By 2024, the stock that had been worth $6 billion was trading for pennies, down more than 95%. The founder, Anne Wojcicki, tried to take the company private and buy it back cheap. The board said no. Then, in September 2024, something almost unheard of happened. Every single independent director on the board resigned on the same day, all 7 of them, in one letter, saying they simply couldn't agree with the CEO on where the company was going. It left Wojcicki as the lone director of a public company. 2 months later, 23andMe laid off 40% of its staff and shut down its drug development division entirely, the very thing that was supposed to be its future. And in March 2025, it was over. 23andMe filed for bankruptcy. Wojcicki resigned as chief executive. The company that promised to revolutionize medicine was now just a list of assets to be sold off in a courtroom in Missouri. And the single most valuable asset on that list was the DNA. And now the twist that makes the whole thing almost poetic. When 23andMe's DNA went up for auction, customers panicked. Attorneys general across dozens of states told people to delete their genetic data immediately. A coalition of states actually sued to block the sale, arguing you can't auction off people's DNA like office furniture. And who swooped in and won? Anne Wojcicki, the same founder. She set up a non-profit, outbid a pharmaceutical giant, and bought her own company back for $305 million, promising stronger privacy protections this time around. Sit with that for a second. The kits were never the point. The science never paid off. In the end, the only thing worth fighting over was the database, the 15 million people who just wanted to know if they were part Italian. So, what's the lesson? There are 2. First, a product people buy exactly once isn't a business. It's a transaction. If your customers have no reason to come back, your growth has a hard ceiling and a very long way to fall. And second, the uncomfortable one. When a company sells you something cheap and shiny, it's worth asking what it's really collecting. Because sometimes you're not the customer. You're the inventory. 23andMe wanted to read the story written in your genes. Turns out, the most important story was the one written in its own balance sheet, and it was a tragedy from the first page. If you like business collapses explained without the boring parts, subscribe. There's a new one every week. And next time, another giant that looked unstoppable, right up until the moment it wasn't.